This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, cat lovers. Welcome to Cattitude. I'm your show host, Michelle Fern. So, what do cats have to do with basketball? Well, nothing, right? You think? No, there's a lot that they have to do with basketball, especially what I have to share with you next, my next guest. You know, it came about during the pandemic, and he combined two of his loves, basketball and cats, and there you go. So we're going to talk all about it. I'll be right back. Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Harris Baker. He is the creator of Catfluence and March Meowdness. Welcome, Harris.
Hey, Michelle. Thank you for having me back again. I appreciate it.
I am so glad to have you back. Now, okay, cats and basketball usually make no sense because cats can't really move a basketball. It's not like dogs in basketball.
No.
But you found a way to combine, because you're a cat lover. We'll talk about Catfluence a little later. You're a cat lover, and I know you are high-end sports enthusiast because I've checked out your IG, and there's always something of sports on there. So I know a little bit about basketball. I know you dribble a ball, it has to go in the hoop, and maybe a little more than that. Actually, one of my first schools that I went to had a big basketball thing. So I had season tickets only because that was what they were known for at college. Anyway, how did March Meowdness start?
Thank you for that introduction. So as you mentioned, I have a history in sports. I've been doing the basketball March Madness since I was probably about 13 years old, filling out the bracket of 64 college basketball teams that get matched up every year for the tournament. And I have a sports and marketing background, so I'm very involved in that world. But so back in 2020, when the first round of COVID began, a lot of professional sports and everything that was going on in that world and everywhere else in the world was kind of getting either canceled or postponed, different things like that. So the March Madness tournament ended up actually getting canceled for 2020. And it was kind of everything happened last minute. Like things were a little crazy in the world. Not everyone knew what was going on. And I was kind of in a situation where I ended up working from home around that time. There was a lot of uncertainty and I had some extra time and I kind of just reacted quickly to what was going on. And I was like, I'm not filling out a bracket for basketball teams, but how could I do this with Catfluence? And I just came up with the idea to create a bracket pretty much of some higher profile cat accounts, some of them ranging from hundreds of thousands to 1 million followers, and then also put in the bracket some in my immediate network who have maybe hundreds or thousands or less followers than that. And I kind of just did it from there, kind of on a whim. There was no plan. I just came up with it one day and I kind of just put a bracket together, put on my Instagram story polls, and had people kind of voting for which cat they wanted to win. And that's how they would advance in each round from that.
Okay, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. But let's go back a little bit for those of us that I've heard of March Madness. I know it's about basketball, but you're talking about brackets and everything. It's hard to do a visual, I know, over audio, but just give us an idea. What about the brackets? What does that pertain to?
Okay, so the way it works in the college basketball game, they have 4 different regions. There's like a north, south, east, west, I believe. And so mine isn't really broken into that necessarily, but there are 4 different regions. Each region has 16 teams. They're seeded 1 through 16. The number 1 seeds for the purposes of the March Meowdness bracket are the higher profile accounts, millions, hundreds of thousands of followers. The 16 seeds generally are accounts that have a couple hundred followers, and it's been interesting to see. And so it starts off the number 1 seed in each region will play against the 16 seed. I know like the 8 and 9s play against each other. The 2s and the 15s play each other, and then each progressively goes on to the next round. So as they win in the story polls, they kind of people or different accounts advance similar to how they would in the basketball tournament, and then keep playing more games and more rounds. What has been interesting to see with the cat bracket is that some of the accounts that may have a lesser following, they may be more active or invested in the tournament. And that's similar to the real life March Madness, where some of the upsets where a 14 seed might beat a 3 seed or different things like that. And we have the big upsets, and that's why they call it March Madness. So a lot of those have happened throughout the cat tournament as well.
When you say seats, what does that mean?
So seeds, actually, it's like your number. So the first seed, second seed, all the way through the 16th seed within each region.
Okay, so it starts off with a lot of different, and it's called seeds. I'm calling it seeds. SEED.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Well,
Yep,
well, I'm
correct.
learning. And probably a lot of cat people out there are learning. This is kind of cool, cats and basketball. Who knew?
Yeah.
All right, so you start off with a lot. So 32, like kind of on each side.
So yeah, 32 on each side, split 16 in each division, and it progressively gets to more each round. It goes the round of 64, then the round of 32, then the Sweet 16, then the Elite 8, Final 4, then the finals, and then the champion.
Okay, and you said, now, okay, so let's go back a little. So now we have an overall of how it should go. And also people that are going, hey, this sounds cool. Or I just, I want to understand it more. Or I want to see if I can get my cat as a participant. We'll go into that little bit. They can go to Catfluence, right? And tell them how they can find the bracket.
So yeah, I'll have it up on catfluence.com/blog. It's not up yet, but there will be a new updated 2022 blog post there. And that'll probably be updated on March 13th, which is Selection Sunday for the men's basketball tournament. That's where they choose all the teams. So the entire timeline of the March Meowdness will follow March Madness. And I try to tap in a little bit to the people who are into the actual March Madness, who also might be cat people, and kind of they could follow along through the same timeline. I will, over the next week, be sharing on my Instagram story as well a link where people can sign up and enter their cat into it as well. I do have a bunch of entries already, some from last year who are kind of grandfathered into it, but I am accepting some new ones into it as well. So yeah, catfluence.com/blog, and then I'll be posting a sign up to my Instagram stories.
Okay, great. Now, you had mentioned there were some surprise upsets. What if you don't have a lot of followers, or you're brand new to Instagram? Or, then what? How do you progress?
Yeah. So what I've seen a lot of people do is they'll promote it amongst their friend groups. So they'll share my story that has the voting poll, and they'll share that with all of their followers. And so maybe a smaller account that has 500 followers, chances are though, and this is not always necessarily true, but those 500 people are more intimate followers compared to an account that may have 600,000 followers. If they send things to every follower, they may not be as likely to engage with it. But some of the smaller accounts, I have seen a lot of the bigger upsets happen just from them resharing it to their story or sharing it in DMs with other people kind of in their networks. And one of the big ones last year was in the championship round. One of the top accounts who actually won it in 2020 was Smush, at Smush Official on Instagram. She has 600,000 followers, and they were up against Moss, who was a cat from the UK, who maybe had 5,000 followers around the time. But Moss was a lot more active, sharing it with their network, and all 5,000 of those followers DM and people trying to get them to vote. And that ultimately was able to get them to win over Smush.
All right, we're going to take a short break and then talk a little bit more. We'll be right back. Max, a 9-year-old rescue cat, was struggling to get up the stairs. I tried Antinol, which is a natural, super potent pet joint and well-being supplement that has enhanced the lives of over 2 million pets worldwide. In just 30 days, Max's recovery has let him race up the stairs. Start Antinol daily and see your dog or cat's mobility comfort improve in just 30 days. Guaranteed. If you want to be proactive about your pet's health and wellness, Antinol is an effective way to help prevent mobility discomfort. And check this offer out. You're not going to believe it. It's fabulous. Free shipping on your first order and a free bonus pack for the first 15 days to give optimal results and a 100% money-back guarantee. Start your pet's mobility makeover at Antinol.com. Keep happiness in motion.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Harris Baker about March Madness and how that turns into March Meowdness. So we're talking about, for this year, how you pick the initial 64, right? Is random, up to you. Do you have to like sweeten the pot, like send you some money or something? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah. No, so there's no money involved in it. At first in 2020, it was all kind of random, me just choosing people based on big accounts that I knew of, but then also some that have reached out to me about like partnering together and featuring them sometimes. Then in 2021, it was similar to that. I chose some of the bigger accounts again, but I had built my network a lot more and I had promoted it to people, and I asked people to, in order to enter, you had to sign up through my website. My goal in that was kind of collecting people's emails, but they sort of had to pay the price of giving me their email that I could use for email marketing and different things like that down the road, or sending updates on the March Madness. But so that was sort of the price to pay. And that's kind of how I'm doing it again this year. A lot of the people who entered last year, I had their emails already. They're just automatically getting entered in. I think the only thing that's a little different this year is that I'm making it USA based only. And the main reason for that is I ran into some issues last year with me shipping out all the prizes, and especially during COVID and all things that are going on with shortages and just postal costs increasing. It just made more sense for me to keep it domestic and kind of do it that way. So that's kind of the only big change for this year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do they even have March Madness in the UK?
I don't think they do, unless people still fill out the brackets and follow it. I'm sure there are some big UK American college basketball fans, but yeah, it's definitely not as big.
True. I mean, there's some of us like what they call football, which is soccer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Okay. So when does March Meowdness start this year?
So Selection Sunday, as I mentioned, where the accounts all get announced, and I'll announce all the prizes as well. That'll be on Sunday, March 13th. And I believe the first round of matchups are on March 16th, which is Wednesday.
Okay, so you have all the cats are listed, they're in the brackets, everything like that. So even if we have, cats that we'd like to be in the brackets, that's done. How do people go if you don't follow a certain cat, or, you follow many, many cats? How do you know who to vote for? Or can you just look them up?
Yeah. So what I do in the Instagram stories, and in the past I would pull photos from their profiles, and now this year I'm actually going to make like graphics with it to make it a little more professional and presentable. But in the stories, I do tag the accounts so people can click and check out their profiles and see if there's something that they like more about that account than the other. And then they can just click on the poll and click the name of who they're voting for.
Now, this sounds like a huge amount of work for you, is it?
It is, and I've definitely improved it. Like I was saying, in 2020, I kind of did it on a whim. I didn't have a plan. Last year, I planned it a couple weeks in advance, and it was still a little chaotic. But this year, I've been planning for the past 2 months. I got, brands to sign up. I had all the accounts sign up in advance. I'm getting all the creative assets and materials out of the way sooner. So it's definitely more well planned this year for sure.
Okay, let's talk also about, before we get into talking about Catfluence, let's talk about your cats. You have two, right?
Yes, Elliot and Olivia.
Elliot and Olivia. Okay. I guess in all fairness, are your cats on March Meowdness, or no, not there?
Yes, they are in it. And okay. I do it just for the sake of doing it, but I don't promote voting them or other people to vote for them to win each round. It doesn't matter to me if they win or lose. I just want to have them in it. The past 2 years, I'm pretty sure they lost the first or second round, just because if they were to win, it would kind of be a conflict of interest.
That's fair. You have to be a proud papa, but you can't, say, hey, okay. And then let's talk also about your account because your IG account is amazing. It's what I aspire to because my audio is there, but my IG is just fledging along. Maybe someday in niche worlds like cats and, this having even, 1,000 followers is amazing. You have over 14. So that's huge. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And you have so many great things on Catfluence. Can you share a little about what you have on Catfluence and, tell people why they should go check you out?
Okay. And so actually over the past 2 weeks, I had a video that went a little viral. It got over like 2.8 million views. And from that, I gained over 5,000 followers. So I did just break 20,000 over the past week, which is pretty exciting for me.
Wow, that is fabulous.
Thank you. But so what Catfluence is, and it was kind of inspired by, I mentioned I had a sports marketing background. I was working with lots of athletes and influencers and doing similar stuff with people in that space. And I kind of leveraged my cats to do that in the cat space. But it's an account dedicated to cat influencers and influencers with cats. A lot of it in the past was more about kind of like brand promotions, and I still do some of that and some affiliate type deals. Now I think the term influencer has kind of expanded a lot, and you can be an influencer in a certain space. Like there are certain gamers who are influencers, or artists, like business owners, like anybody can sort of be an influencer. And now I kind of highlight people from different walks of life who they may have cats, but they are, and there's nothing wrong with having cats. Obviously, I have cats, but they're just normal people who have normal jobs, and they just happen to have cats and be involved in this cat community, which is so big, especially on Instagram. So that's kind of what I try to do now, more so than the brands and the kind of monetization aspect, more of the feel good stories of people and their cats.
And you recently did a lot with Inspired Unity, which is one of those, really good things. It was a great promotion. I had them on. You contacted me to have them on Cattitude, which I'm grateful for. Tell us a little bit about Inspire Unity and what other kind of cat goodwill things that you have coming up.
Yes, those guys, Jason and Noah, they're cool dudes. They reached out to me through Instagram a while ago, and they kind of pitched their idea to me of what they were doing with the collages and donating all the money to causes. And their first one was cat rescues. And I just thought it was a cool idea. I thought it was the kind of thing you'd see on like Shark Tank. Like I know they reached out early on, and I saw something in them that they were kind of like driven kids, and they were looking for people to help them out. And I was like, if I were younger, like their age, I would want somebody to help me out. So that's kind of how I saw it, and kind of give them a little push in the right direction. So yes, it's kind of cool to see how they've grown and what they're doing. They're also going to be involved in the March Madness contest as well.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear. Now that you have over 20,000 followers. Wow. I'm jealous. I'm envious, but I'm so happy for you. So what are you going to do? Now you're even, you're like getting up there. You have a voice. Any things on the horizon that you want to do with that voice for cats welfare, for cat visibility, for cats in general?
Yeah, so I try, like when people tag me or people share with me things about like cat rescues or shelters that need help or in donations, people needing fosters, I try to share that to my story and just kind of spread those messages as much as possible. One thing I've sort of been involved with over the past couple of years, or the past 2 years now, is with an organization called Miss Pat's Cats. It's a 503c nonprofit cat rescue, and we volunteer out of a couple Petcos in New Jersey. So right now I volunteer every other week out of one, and I kind of go take care of the cats, clean their cages, feed them, play with them for a little bit, and we have different volunteers working on every day, once a week, doing it and helping out. And what I've tried to do with them specifically is I go and I create content with the cats, and I post stuff on my page. And one of the most rewarding things for me doing that is there was one cat in particular that was there for maybe 4 or 5 months, and like she was a great cat, and for whatever reason other ones kept getting adopted, and she just like couldn't find a home. So I made a video on TikTok. It didn't go viral or anything, but somebody saw it on my Catfluence TikTok and ended up adopting the cat through that. So that was definitely a rewarding experience for me, and I want to continue to doing things like that to help cats get adopted and get help they need, and help shelters get donations and things like that.
Now, if you had a choice between cats and sports, could you decide one or the other, or impossible?
It would kind of be impossible. I mean, I guess that is sort of what I do with my life now. I have my day job where I work in a sports marketing type setting. And then by night, I'm kind of a cat marketing guy. So I do try to choose the best of both worlds, but it is kind of, I think it would be very tough for me to choose one or the other.
Tell us a little about, I know I asked your cats and your cats' names and so forth, but tell us just briefly a little bit about their personalities, Elliot and Olivia, right?
Yeah, Elliot and Olivia. So their names are based on Elliot Stabler and Olivia Benson from Law & Order SVU, if you're familiar with them. Their personalities are very different. So they are brother and sister from the same litter. Elliot is a ginger cat, and he's very timid when people come around like my apartment, unless he's like met them before. He's comfortable, and then behind the scenes he acts like a big tough guy. With Olivia, he kind of walks around like he owns the place, knocks things over, knocks like cups of water over, knocks like my mouse off my desk, different things like that. And Olivia, I call her like the happiest cat in the world. Like she's never had a bad day. She's always smiling. She just wants to like cuddle up against me. She's like a typical lap cat. And anytime I'm on like Zoom calls with people, she gets on camera and makes herself known, and she'll greet anybody when they come into my place. She's just always comfortable.
And they're both rescues, I'm guessing?
Yeah. They were from a Petco adoption event years ago.
You know, when you say Petco adoption, I am hoping one day that there's only a few states left in the country, I think, that have adoption pet stores. But
oh, really? Less
so than cats, more dogs, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, I definitely have seen a lot more stuff with dogs as opposed to cats.
Yeah, one day there will be all how places, do pet adoptions and from shelters adopting through the stores versus, being sold and all that. But, that's another show. All right. Lastly, let's remind everybody about March Meowdness and the timeline, and then a little bit about the prizes they could win.
So yeah, the timeline selection Sunday where the bracket will be announced is on Sunday the 13th. The tournament will begin, I believe, Wednesday, March 16th, and then it'll run through April. I forgot the last date of the final matchup, but it'll be sometime early April. The updates will be on catfluence.com/blog. So you can check it out there. I mentioned I'll have a separate sign up that I'll post on my Instagram story, which is at Catfluence is the Instagram account. And then that way, if people want to sign up for it, there are still some spots available. Last thing is, so the prizes, I've had a bunch of different brands participating in it. I've been in contact with some companies who are going to be donating food products, some litter products, toys, beds, costume and hand knitted materials. So a little bit of everything, some stickers. I'll be giving some Catfluence merchandise away as well. So definitely the prizes have definitely improved over the years. I think in 2020, there might've been no prizes. It was just like my own merch. Then last year I had a bunch of awesome brands that got involved. And now there's actually a lot more value to some of the prizes. One food brand is actually going to be donating a year supply of their treats. So that's going to be awesome.
Fantastic. Well, Harris, I wish you amazing success at March Meowdness. I know that it does a lot of, I'm sure it helps Catfluence a lot too. So I hope that works out really well. And I want to thank you so much for coming on Cattitude.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate you having me as always, and love what you're doing with the podcast. And I know you mentioned you envy the following that I've built. I envy what you've been able to do here with the podcast. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of Cattitude. If you're a sports lover, combining March Madness and your cats, why not? March Meowdness, check it out. It's Harris Baker, and it's at Catfluence, his IG account, and there's all kinds of great things with March Meowdness. Wonderful prizes. I took a look. There's some great stuff happening. And I want to thank Harris Baker for coming on Cattitude and sharing everything about March Meowdness. Thanks to my producer, Mark Winter, for making me and my guests sound great. Thanks to my cat crew, Dennis, Charlotte, Molly, Sammy, and Jethro, for making me a great cat mom as best as I can. And a huge, huge thank you to the Cattitude listening audience. I appreciate it so much. You make Cattitude what it is today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me leave you with this. Remember, lose the attitude and have Cattitude.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.